Hello and welcome to Shades and Justice Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Evelyn Hill. Remember, you can always catch me at www.drevelynhill.net. Hey, we got a fabulous show on today. We have a guest all the way from the Kansas City, Missouri side, Miss Chloe Cooper. She's the executive director of the Kansas City Community Bail Fund. Welcome, Chloe, to Shades and Justice podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure. We have known each other now. I've been trying to figure out kind of what were the circumstances that we even met. I think friend of ours, a common friend, Mr. Stuart Curtright, introduced us. He was someone who was very interested in the Kansas City Community Bail Fund before you took the leadership role. And so that takes us back at least 3 years. Would you agree with that?
Yes. I remember you falling out of the sky like the angel you are and rescuing us because it was the beginning and we were scrambling to just figure out where we wanted to go next. And it has been a pleasure ever since to know you and get to work with you. So thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you. Well, we felt the same way about you. And I just loved your passion for people and the injustices that have been done in our communities across the country. And if there was one scripture that I would use, it would be Proverbs 31, verses 8 and 9, that talks about speak up for the oppressed and speak up for the fatherless and those that do not have a voice. And so, Chloe, I have seen you speak up. I've seen you get an award here in the Kansas City area. You were mentioned by your own peers. We'll get to that in a little bit. But because of the special work that you do, which is beyond the expectation of a bail fund, I'm just so impressed and honored to know you. So again, I just want to say welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. You just make me blush. You just get
Just a little
fill my
bit. That's all
cup.
right. You're allowed to blush on this show. You
Yeah,
allowed.
oh, thank you.
Do you mind sharing with our radio audience a little bit about your personal life and how it led into this work of the Kansas City Community Bail Fund?
Yes, so what was it? It had to be 2019. I was a case manager at Restart. I had just finished my bachelor's degree at UCM, single mom to two kids. And so um, I myself was familiar with just kind of the legal system and how unfair it can be towards Black and Brown people and people who don't have a lot of money. And you just kind of feel stuck. And so even though I had my own kind of experiences with the legal system, I was also case managing young people who come to find out would have their own issues with the legal system. And myself and a former coworker at Restart had a mutual client that ended up getting arrested because she was getting attacked by her then boyfriend and escaped him by taking his car keys and driving around the corner to get help. She was arrested and held on a $5,000 bond. Nobody in her family had any money to bail her out. And so myself and this coworker decided to raise money to help her get out. My coworker sent letters of support and advocacy for this client to the judge, and he ended up releasing her, and she didn't have to pay any kind of bond. And so that just kind of opened my eyes to just how deep down the rabbit hole people can go once they're arrested. Even because you don't even get a trial, you're just arrested and thrown in jail. So what if someone's innocent? We don't know. So um, it's just a contradiction that if you're innocent until proven guilty, why are we arresting people and putting them in jail without that trial to prove their innocence? So um, it opened my eyes to the work we do now and just what exactly a bail fund is. And I've been going with it ever since.
Wow. So see, this is what I'm talking about, going above and beyond. So here is a friend slash client that went into the jail system with it's called pre-trial, right?
Yes.
And so you have to pay a bail. And if you can't pay the bail, whether you're guilty or innocent, you're just stuck in jail. So right off the bat, to me, that's an injustice, right off the bat. But the system is set up to where that is the norm. That is the norm. And so I appreciate your work so much because you have looked at the system, your eyes have been opened, and you've been trying to figure out ways how to advocate for people to get out of these systematic uh, protocols that hinder people. So often they lose their jobs if they had babysitters or families are interrupted. Uh, just a number of things that we that have never been in jail don't even realize what all goes on in case you do get arrested. We don't even realize if you get arrested and there's a $5,000 bond and you have to come up with X amount of money with that bond or depending, man, you're just out of luck. You really are. So thank you for that. How were you inspired to do more work in the arena of bail fund beyond just raising money? I think you just kind of told us that. And what are some of the requirements from individuals uh, to get into your program? What are some of their requirements? Do you just take anybody and everybody? Kind of how do you work through that?
So there are specific requirements we have for our bail assistance program. Your total bond, so not the 10% that a bail bondsman would charge. Um,
Mhm.
the total bond amount has to be $5,000 or less. Um, you have to be detained within our operating counties, so Clay, Cass, Johnson, Wyandotte, and Jackson.
Mhm.
Um, we don't we're not able to assist anyone that's been arrested for any kind of violent crimes. So no murder charges. If you are arrested for violating an ex parte, we're not able to assist. Just things that directly harm an individual, we cannot assist with that. Um, I'm trying to remember. I think that is about it. I think that's about it. There might be more, but I don't know. My mind is drawing a blank. Those are the major ones though that we look for. Those are the major
So
ones. So
so that you know what? So for people who think that your organization just releases criminals out on the street, that's not what you do. You're not releasing someone out on the street that has potentially murdered somebody or shot somebody or uh, something like that. Instead, those that are incarcerated because they have expired tags or because um, uh, of another incident, like you were saying earlier, those types of charges are the ones that you work with. More situations where people really just can't afford uh, insurance, tags, and other things like that. Correct?
Correct. There's often a misconception with our organization that we are just bailing out criminals or enabling criminals to go to jail and then get a pass, basically. But that's not what we do. We assist those who have been arrested for victimless misdemeanor crimes. So maybe theft or like you said, driving with a suspended license. So we post their bail, and when they're released, we provide that bail support to make sure they can get to their court dates. And if they need help with clothing for court, we've helped with food sometimes. So whatever they really need to kind of stay on track and not lose everything that they've worked for. So it doesn't have to be a domino effect because of one arrest.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Thank you. I like that victimless crime. I think that clears up with me bumbling through what I was trying to say earlier. That cleared it up a whole lot. And so it's so unusual to hear an organization that deals with uh, bail funds to actually try to figure out how they can help beyond just the bail amount of money. You're helping with food, you're helping with clothing, uh, if they need hygiene, and you work with other community non-for-profits that could possibly work together to cause a positive impact for those families. So certainly something to think about as we think about types of organizations we want to advocate for and types of organizations that we want to highlight that really goes above and beyond just the title of their organization. So thank you again for that. Now,
Dr.
yes,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering if I could just tell a quick story
please,
about
yes.
so with the audience about you, Dr. Hill, because you talk about going above and beyond. There was one particular time that you answered the call when we posted bail for someone and he needed hygiene items and clothing and food. And it was last minute and we did not know what to do. And we called you and you made it happen and put this whole basket together for this young man. And so when I think about jumping into action and not just talking about it, you got to be about it. I think of you. So yes, you've
Wow.
been there.
Thank you. You caught me off guard that time.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But I just have seen the work that you and your organization has done, and I'm blessed by seeing the work. And if we in the community, we gotta jump in from time to time. We just do it, and there's so much work to be done. So today I just celebrate you and the great work that you all have done. So when the George Floyd murder happened, it changed your whole operation. Tell our audience about that.
Yep. I think about this often. Life is so exciting and mysterious because you never really know where your blessing or your next opportunity is going to come from. And
Mm-hmm.
in this instance, it came from a tragedy. Um,
Mm,
when George Floyd was murdered in 2020, everyone around the nation was um, in shock and wondering what they can do to help. Not everybody can go out and protest. And so the leaders in every state were saying, donate to your local bail fund, help the protesters that are being the boots on the ground, help them when they're unfairly arrested. We all saw
Mhm.
those protest videos where the protesters were being victimized, and often we saw some pretty brutal images, and um our little fledgling bail fund grew, I like to say, overnight, because people poured in the donations to help us bail out these protesters here in Kansas City, and we were able to um, do what we were passionate about on a larger scale. And we've been doing this since 2020, and it's been an amazing journey, amazing ride. So yes, something
Well,
good came
thank
out
you
of
for
it.
that. I love the way you positioned that. You said things we wanted to do, we now were able to do it because of those who gave to their local bail fund. That is incredible. So we never know when the community is going to step up and just do some incredible things. So, uh, as we watched here in the Kansas City area, on the Missouri side in particular, some things that were happening. It was refreshing to see advocates for peace and justice, both with the Kansas City Community Bail Fund, as well as other community advocates, churches around the metro area, just kind of gathered together to hold hands in peace and work toward a peaceful solution here in the Kansas City area. So thank you for being a part of the solution instead of the problem. And another thing I noticed over the years in working with you, you had a special project called Project Green Light, which, oh my gosh, I was so excited to hear about that. I'm going, how did she come up with this stuff? Project Green Light. Do you mind just sharing with our audience what that is and how did you come up with that idea?
Yes, so um, Project Greenlight is one of the programs we offer at the Kansas City Community Bail Fund. It's the first program of its kind in this country, which is exciting because it started right here in Kansas City. And so we we help people drive legally by paying for their car registrations, property taxes, vehicle insurance. We help them get their licenses reinstated, or if they need their license replaced or their ID replaced or renewed,
Mhm,
we help with
mhm.
that. And I mean, really, how I came up with that is because I went through it back when I was when I was younger and in school, and I had no money, and oftentimes I had to choose between paying my light bill or paying my car insurance, or
Wow.
paying my rent or paying my car registration. And even though I was on every assistance program that was offered, I still wasn't making enough to cover my transportation expenses outside of gas. And I was pulled over a few times for
Wow.
expired tags.
Mhm,
And of course, I had no insurance. And that led to me getting my license suspended. And I had to pay a lawyer a large chunk of money that I didn't have, but I had to, so I didn't want to go to jail. And
mhm.
I remember researching, are there any programs out there that assist with these expenses? And there were none. And so one day when I was sleeping, I had a dream about this program, and I woke up, and I think a few days later I pitched it to to you all, to our group, and that was it. That was all she wrote.
Wow. That's an incredible story. And so, out of your struggle, out of your pain, you have come up with solutions to problems that are systemic problems. And instead of just griping about it, you have provided a solution for others who could be helped versus just allowing them to stay in those situations. So again, Chloe, this is unprecedented. So I don't know how many you were able to help, uh, but maybe you can share, step by step what you would have to do. Like, did you have to go to the motor vehicle department? Did you have to go to the what department in either Jackson County or Wyandotte County in the city hall? What are step by step that you had to do? It's amazing because I was on a couple calls with you when you were being challenged. So take us through step by step
Yeah.
what you needed to do to help these families.
So it really varies with each person that applies for Project Greenlight. Sometimes people just need a few months of insurance to help them get down the road. Sometimes they need vehicle registration, insurance, and their license is suspended, a whole plethora of things.
Mhm.
And so really it's doing all of that. It's calling the Department of Revenue in Kansas and Missouri and finding out what exactly they need. It's going up to the courthouses to see what all tickets they have, and trying to talk to judges to see if they can dismiss any of these charges without having to pay a ton of
Well,
fines.
wait, hold up. Are you saying that you and your team physically leave your offices and go in person to judges, to the motor vehicle department, to the Department of Revenue in different municipalities to help these families?
Oh yeah, of course. It's
Wow.
that's it's we couldn't do this any other way. We have to literally walk step by step with them. Especially because from what I've seen, I don't, and sometimes people, when they maybe look a certain way, or maybe just you don't have a lot of money, sometimes they're not treated as kindly as they could be. And
Mm-hmm,
also sometimes it's hard to understand the
mm-hmm,
process of paying a fine or what's needed to register your car. And a lot of
mm-hmm,
times the people we help, it's they either don't have the money, or even if they have the money to pay all these things, they don't exactly know where to even start and
mm-hmm.
what to do. And so I feel like having us there with them and walk them through this, that gives them kind of the confidence they need to know what to do, and just understand these complicated things. And um, I think I talked to you one time, or I called you one time from the a DMV in Kansas, and I was so upset. I can't even remember. It was a while ago, and and we had a client, and I'm trying to, the memory escapes me, but I remember I had a client and they would not let um her pay. I can't remember what the situation was, but I was so upset, and I called you and I'm like, we need someone on the phone now. Like, this is not fair. Like, I was so upset. I get
I
upset
remember
when
it.
my clients get like treated just any kind of way. So but yeah, that's what it takes, and it takes a while sometimes to resolve these cases, but that's, you just do
So,
it.
I kind of remember that case too. And I know one case, I don't know if it's this one or not, it was a Hispanic
Mhm.
client, and there was some challenges there. Um, so, but I remember checking with the sheriff's department because I got upset after you was upset when you called me And then he told me that it's not anything he could do because it was a state thing. And I'm going, okay, we need to change the policy in the state. And
Yes.
so, anyway, I don't know what happened. I think you eventually had to leave after you had spent several hours there and then go back at another time with that client to get that issue resolved. But man, I do remember that. And you were, it was like you was the mama bear. You was not gonna let them talk to your baby like this, but
Yeah,
this
that was I mean, people when they take care of these things or have to go to the DMV or court or things like that, they're leaving their jobs, they have to find childcare, like it's not they have to get on the bus sometimes, and so
yes,
it's not fair to just be dismissive of people who have to sacrifice a lot to even be there. That's
yeah,
not right. They don't
it's
have
not.
the
And then the
luxury.
folks at the DMV, or I'm not saying all people are like this at the DMV, but many just, they are, maybe they're unhappy themselves or underpaid, whatever, but they treat the clients so rudely. And like you said, it could be because of the way they're dressed or uh, from a different area than what the DMV folks are from. For whatever reason, it is often a challenge. Often a challenge. So, whew, I got worked up just thinking about it. I just,
Flashbacks.
but I'm so glad that you were there. I've learned a lot just being in your presence, being a part of your organization over the last couple years, and uh, just watching you. I've been to a couple of your events where you had judges from the Missouri side and the Kansas side there. You had the Kansas Health Department there. You had the Kansas City, Kansas mayor and a representative from the Kansas City, Missouri mayor's office, Overland Park folks. Who does that? Who gets that kind of backing metro wide the way you have done? Wow, that is incredible work that you and your team have done over the years. Um, you shared with us some examples of families who have been really challenged with the area with different barriers. Um, what would you suggest people do in their own communities? Because this podcast will be nationwide. And what can people do in their communities? How can they help in their communities? What would you suggest?
Hmm. That is, if I could say this, taking the financial part out of it, just something that people could do with no money and not a lot of resources, is
Mm-hmm.
they could assist other people, um or teaching them how to navigate, registering their car, maybe the what types of insurance they may need. If you're
Mm-hmm.
knowledgeable about it, you
Mm-hmm.
can teach someone else. So
Oh,
maybe
that's good.
hold a
Yeah.
class at a library. That's
Yes.
free. That's somewhere to start, is
Mm-hmm.
is is teaching others. Like when you get a ticket, this is what you can do. Because if you've
Mm-hmm.
been through it, or which a lot of us have, most of us have gotten
Mm-hmm.
some kind of ticket at some point, what can you do
Mm-hmm.
about it? Maybe you can talk to the judge about it. Do something about it before it leads to something bigger. Sometimes judges are
Mm-hmm.
willing um allow someone to make a payment plan, or um dismiss the tickets due to hardship. The point is you have to show up and at least talk to the judge to get that options. But a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people are scared because they think they're going to get arrested if they go to court. Um, Also, people in other communities, if there's attorneys out there, attorneys can maybe volunteer their time to take on some of the cases where people have gotten their license suspended, maybe do a few
Hmm.
every month, just pro bono helping dismiss these tickets. And so those are just some of the ways if that people can help without having to start a whole program like this. Those are things
Right,
we
right.
can do now.
And you were kind. You said without the money, but if you do send money to your community bail fund, wherever that's at, that would be helpful if
Oh,
they have a program, especially that expunges some of those cases. And you've talked to, I know the district attorney in Kansas City, Kansas, and they have an expungement program. And I think does the Kansas City, Missouri side have an expungement program?
yes. I think through UMKC, they do an expungement event
Okay,
maybe once or twice a year.
okay. And that's good not to miss this. The most important thing you said that really grabbed my heart was you have to show up for court. And like you said, a lot of people don't want to show up because if you show up, you might get thrown in jail or something. But you'd be surprised if you show up, you can really help yourself by at least talking to the judge and asking for an extension or asking for a public defender to come in your case as a attorney to help you as you navigate through all of these challenges. So, wow. So before we leave, this has been so educational and so encouraging. How can people get in touch with you? What if they want to duplicate like your project Greenlight or want to just see your website here in the Kansas City Metro? How do they get in touch with you and what is your website address?
So they can visit us at www.kcbail.fund. And there's a like a contact us button, and they can shoot me a quick message through there and I'll see it and can get back with them if they have any more questions. That would be amazing if there were others in the country that wanted to duplicate this program. So that is how, and we have information about our bail assistance and Project Greenlight programs on our website as well.
Wow. Okay. Well, Miss Chloe Cooper, thank you for a fabulous, fabulous podcast today. Woo, I feel better now that we got this done because I'm hoping that someone will hear this and see that there is hope in the midst of not being able to afford your tags and suspended license, that there is hope out there. People like yourself that care and parents that can't afford to get their kids out of jail. Where do they go to get help? This is an awesome opportunity for them to hear there are some alternatives. So thank you again for your time. And this is Shades and Justice Podcast with your host, Dr. Evelyn Hill. You can always get me at www.drevelynhill.net. Until next time, we will see you soon.